Does Judice's knockout power end this early, or does Miller drag the fight to the ground and submit her? Hey everyone, welcome back to the Prestige. Today we're going to break down a women's flyweight matchup, Carly Judice versus Juliana Miller. If you're new to MMA, this is a classic striker versus grappler fight. Judice wants to keep this fight standing and land big shots, while Miller wants to close distance, get the fight to the ground, and hunt submissions. Let's break this one down step by step. First off is a fight style interaction map. That's how these two styles play up against each other. For Juliana Miller, her primary style is grappling. She looks to close distance, secure takedowns, and control opponents on the mat. Her secondary style is power striking, where she mainly uses it to create entries. For Carly Judice, her primary style is power striking. She presses forward and looks for knockout moments. Her secondary style is slugging, thriving in aggressive exchanges. Preferred phases each wants this fight in is Miller wants this clinch series and ground control, and Judice wants stand-up exchanges where power becomes the deciding factor. Miller must avoid striking battles at all costs, and Judice must avoid grappling battles at all costs. And Judice must avoid grappling and scrambles. Their styles will collide when it begins standing. Miller's pressure will meet Judice's power, creating knockout moments or transitions into the ground. Now onto the win funnel that each needs to take to win their fight. Juliana Miller, good luck, but you need to close your distance and secure takedowns, maintain strong ground pressure, and find a submission or a ground and pound win. And Carly Judice, pressure forward with power, maintain distance and avoid takedowns, and find that early knockout we all know you're going to get. And here's the strengths that each one brings to this specific matchup. Juliana Miller, she does bring a strong submission ability. She has versatile finishing skills, and she does have, oddly enough, the UFC experience advantage. She also does have some good body lock takedowns. And Carly Judice has a high knockout rate, strong striking accuracy, and she is a dangerous early finisher. And on the flip side, the weaknesses that each fighter brings to the matchup. Juliana Miller, she's vulnerable to knockouts, she has very low striking volume, and she's inconsistent with her form. She must get the fight to the ground and early. For Carly Judice, she is limited defensive wrestling, vulnerable if she is grounded, and she's still developing at a high level. She must keep this fight standing. The hidden detail of the stats revealed for this fight is Carly Judice's knockdown rate spikes in chaotic exchanges. Her power becomes especially dangerous when her opponents rush forward. It's missed because most are focused on Miller's grappling and overlook Judice's finishing ability. And it appears in early stand-up exchanges where Judice increases her knockout upside. My 100,000 Monte Carlo simulations model striking, grappling, finish rates, fatigue, and camp factors. This 3-round flyweight fight at normal elevation has Juliana Miller coming in with a 25% chance to win, with 5% by knockout, 15% by submission, and 5% by decision. And Carly Judice comes in with a 75% chance to win, with 45% chance of knockout, 5% chance by submission, and 25% chance by decision. And the most common finish window is round 1. In the end, Carly Judice's knockout power and early finishing ability give her the edge in this matchup. If she does keep the fight standing, she has the highest upside. If this fight flips, it flips through grappling, and Miller secures early control and chains submissions before Judice finds her range. What do you think? Judice by knockout or Miller by submission? Drop your prediction below. I read every one of them. Smash that like if this breakdown helps. Subscribe for more deep dives and turn on notifications so you don't miss the card series. Thank you for watching, and let's see who comes out on top. Does Leavitt's experience control the grappling, or does Del Valle finish in the chaos? Hey everyone, welcome back to the Prestige. Today we're breaking down a lightweight matchup. Yadira Del Valle versus Jordan Leavitt. If you're new to MMA, this is a pure grappler versus grappler fight. Both fighters want the same thing: takedowns, scrambles, and submission. The biggest question is who wins the ground battle. Let's break it down step by step. First, the fight style interaction map. It's how these two styles play up against each other. Jordan Leavitt, primary style is grappling. He looks to secure takedowns, control positioning, and hunt submissions. His secondary is submission chaining, especially from the back. And Yadira Del Valle, his primary style is also grappling. He pressure forward and looking for dominant control. And his secondary style is power striking, but mainly he uses those to create entries. Both fighters want this fight on the ground. Leavitt prefers control submission attempts, while Valle prefers aggressive grappling and chaos. Phases to avoid is Leavitt wants to avoid striking exchanges at all costs, and Valle wants to avoid slow, drawn-out fights. And this fight will be decided in the scrambles, where both fighters attack submissions, which creates constant finishing threats. Now onto the win funnel system. As you know, it's the clearest path each fighter needs to take to win the fight. For Jordan Leavitt, he needs to secure early takedowns, maintain strong positions, and find a submission from dominant spots. In Yadir Valle, he pressure and force grappling exchanges, aggressive top pressure, and find submission or a ground and pound victory. And the strengths that each fighter brings to the matchup. For Jordan Leavitt, he has way more UFC experience, a very strong submission rate, and solid takedown defense. For Yadir Valle, he is undefeated, he's strong finishing instincts, and he's explosive grappler. Now, on the flip side, there are weaknesses that each fighter brings to the matchup. For Jordan Leavitt, he's vulnerable to submissions, he has negative striking differential, and he can struggle in chaotic fights. He must control the position. For Yadir Valle, he has a limited high-level competition, low striking volume, and he's unproven in deep fights. He should get this fight finished early. And what the hidden detail of the stats show is Valle's submission efficiency rises sharply in scrambles. His ability to quickly capitalize creates major upside. Most focus on Leavitt's experience and overlook Valle's finishing speed. It appears in the chaotic ground exchanges, and it will benefit Valle, increasing finishing upside. In my 100,000 Monte Carlo simulations, modeled grappling, submission chains, durability, fatigue, and camp factors in a 3-round lightweight fight at normal elevation, Jordan Leavitt comes in with a 50% chance to win, with 10% by knockout, 25% by submission, and 15% by decision. And Yadir Valle comes in with a 50% chance to win, with 10% by knockout, 30% by submission, and 10% by decision. The most common finish window is round 2. And in the end, Yadir Valle's aggressive grappling and submission chains should give him the edge in a chaotic matchup. His finishing ability in scrambles also stands out. If this fight flips, it flips through control, because Leavitt secures early top position and slows the pace down. Who do you think? Valle or Leavitt by submission, control? Drop your predictions below. I read every one. Smash the like if the breakdown helps you at all, and subscribe for more deep dives. Turn on notifications so you don't miss the full series. Thank you for watching. Let's see who comes out on top. Does Rowe's knockout power stop the debut early, or does Lebosnoyani drag this into deep waters and submit him? Hey everyone, welcome back to The Prestige. Today we're breaking down a welterweight matchup between Phil Rowe and Jean-Paul Lebosnoyani. If you're new to MMA, this is a classic striker versus grappler fight. Rowe wants to keep this fight standing at all costs and hunt knockouts, while Lebosnoyani wants to get this fight to the ground and finish with submissions. Let's break it down section by section. Fight style interaction map. How these two styles play up against each other. Phil Rowe's primary style is power striking. He uses reach, power, and timing to find knockout moments. His secondary style is finishing ability, looking to end fights wherever he sees an opening. Jean-Paul Lebosnoyani's primary style is grappling. He controls distance and chains takedowns to control and submit his opponents. His secondary style is power striking, mainly to create the entries. Rowe wants this in open striking exchanges where he can use his reach and power to gain the advantage, and Lebosnoyani wants this in the clinch and ground phases. Rowe must avoid extended grappling. Lebosnoyani must avoid long-range striking. The styles will collide in transitions, where Phil Rowe's power will meet Lebosnoyani's takedown attempts, creating knockout and submission opportunities. Now onto the win funnel system. This is the clearest path every fighter needs to win the fight. For Phil Rowe, he needs to use his reach and striking to control range, and then use pressure to force mistakes and get a knockout. For Jean-Paul Lebosnoyani, his win funnel is to close distance and secure takedowns, maintain top position, and win via submission or ground and pound. The matchup-specific strengths that each fighter brings is Phil Rowe's perfect finishing ability in his wins, his long reach and knockout threat, and he has a higher level of experience. And for Lebosnoyani, he has a high submission rate, he has a strong finishing instincts, and he's youth and undefeated momentum. Now on the flip side, here are the weaknesses each fighter brings to the matchup. Phil Rowe, he is vulnerable to strong wrestlers. He has a negative striking differential, and he is inconsistent recently. His implication is he must keep this fight standing. For Jean-Paul Lebosnoyani, he has experience risk, UFC debut, vulnerable to knockouts, and he is limited. I have limited data on him at a high level, so the model isn't complete, and he must get the fight to the ground. The hidden detail the data shows is that Phil Rowe's knockdown rate rises sharply against aggressive grapplers. His power becomes especially dangerous during takedown attempts. It's missed because most focus on Lebosnoyani's submission ability and overlook Rowe's timing, and it appears early in the stand-up exchanges, and it benefits Phil Rowe's knockout upside. The 100,000 Monte Carlo simulations modeled striking output, grappling, durability, fatigue, and camp factors. In a 3-round welterweight fight, Phil Rowe comes in with a 60% chance to win, with a 35% chance by knockout, 5% by submission, and 20% by decision. And Jean-Paul Lebosnoyani has a 40% chance to win, with 15% of that coming by knockout, 15% by submission, and 10% by decision. The most common finish window is round 1. In the end, Phil Rowe's power, reach, and experience gave him the edge in the matchup. His ability to push takedown entries and create knockdown moments stands out. If the fight flips, it'll flip because Lebosnoyani secures the takedown and chains submissions before Rowe finds his rhythm. What do you think happens? Rowe by knockout, Lebosnoyani by submission? Drop your predictions below. I read every one of them. Smash that like button if the breakdown helped. Subscribe for more deep dives and turn on notifications so you don't miss out the full series. Thank you for watching, and let's see who comes out on top. Does Ramiz Brahimaj's submission game take over, or does Soriano land before the grappling starts? Hey everyone, welcome back to the Prestige. Today we're breaking down a welterweight fight between Ramiz Brahimaj and Punahele Soriano. If you're new to MMA, this is a classic grappler versus knockout artist. Brahimaj wants this fight to get to the ground and hunt for submissions, while Soriano wants to try and keep it standing and end it early. Let's break it down one step at a time. First off is the fight style interaction map. This is how the two styles actually play up against each other. For Ramiz Brahimaj, his primary style is grappling. He closes the distance, forces clinch exchanges, and hunts submissions. His secondary style is chaining attacks on the ground until openings appear. For Punahele Soriano, his primary style is power striking. He pressures forward and looks for knockout moments. His secondary style is pressure fighting. He forces opponents into exchanges. Brahimaj wants this into clinch entries and takedowns, leading to control and submissions, where Soriano wants this open striking, where his power will become more dangerous. Brahimaj wants to avoid prolonged striking exchanges, and Soriano must avoid ground positions. Where their styles collide is in the clinch, where Brahimaj's takedown attempts will meet Soriano's power, creating either early knockout moments or submission opportunities. Now onto the win funnel. Now this is the clearest path each fighter can take to win their fight. For Ramiz Brahimaj, he used to close distance and secure takedowns, maintain top position and pressure, and get a submission. And for Punahele Soriano, get pressure with heavy strikes, defend takedowns and maintain range, and finish with a knockout. Now here are the strengths that each fighter brings specifically to this matchup. For Ramiz Brahimaj, he brings elite submission focus, strong control time and top pressure, dangerous finishing ability. For Punahele Soriano, he brings a high knockout rate, positive striking differential, and a forward pressure style. And on the flip side, the weaknesses that can be exposed by their opponent. For Ramiz, he's limited decision experience, his negative striking differential, and is vulnerable if forced to stand up. He must get the fight to the ground. For Punahele Soriano, he is vulnerable to submissions. His takedown defense is very inconsistent, and he can fade in grapple-heavy fights. He must keep the fight standing. The hidden detail that this stats revealed for this fight is Brahimaj's submission success rises sharply once he secures control. His finishing rate increases against power strikers. It's missed because most analysis focus on Soriano's knockout threat and ignores his vulnerability on the ground, and it appears after the first takedown, and it benefits Ramiz Brahimaj, increasing his submission upside. Our 100,000 Monte Carlo simulations modeled striking, takedowns, control, durability, fatigue, camp factors, and much more. In a 3-round welterweight fight, Ramiz Brahimaj comes in with a 55% chance to win, with 10% by knockout, 35% chance by submission, and 10% chance by decision. And Punahele Soriano comes in with a 45% chance to win, with 30% by knockout, 5% by submission, and 10% by decision. The most common finish window is round 2. And in the end, Ramiz Brahimaj's grappling and submission pressure give him the edge in this matchup. His ability to control power strikers and create finishing opportunities on the ground stands out. If the fight flips, it flips early, and it's because Soriano lands a knockout before Ramiz Brahimaj can establish control. Who do you think wins? Brahimaj by decision or Soriano by knockout? Drop your prediction below. I read every one of them. Smash the like if this breakdown helped. Subscribe for more fight deep dive. And turn on those notifications if you don't want to miss the full card series. Thank you for watching, and let's see who comes out on top. Does Cornolle's power change the fight early, or does Edwards outwork her over 3 rounds? Hey everyone, welcome back to the Prestige. Today we're breaking down a women's bantamweight matchup, Nora Cornolle versus Jocelyn Edwards. If you're new to MMA, this is a classic power versus volume fight. Cornolle wants to land big shots and finish, while Edwards looks to control distance, outwork opponents, and win rounds. Let's break this down step by step. First, the fight style interaction map, how these two styles actually play up against each other. For Nora Cornolle, her primary style is power striking. She pressures forward and looks for knockout moments. Her secondary style is finishing ability, capitalizing when opponents make mistakes. Jocelyn Edwards' primary style is volume striking. She uses reach, pace, and movement to win exchanges. Her secondary style is grappling, mixing in takedowns when she needs to. Cornolle wants this fight mid-range where her power becomes dangerous, and Edwards wants this long range where she can accumulate some volume. And Cornolle doesn't want this in a grappling matchup where she can be outworked, and Edwards wants to avoid chaotic brawls. And their styles will collide in the striking exchanges where Cornolle's power will meet Edwards' volume, creating either knockout opportunities or decision outcome. Now here's the win funnels. Now this is the clearest path each fighter needs to take to win the fight. For Nora Cornolle, her win funnel is pressure forward and close distance, dictate the exchanges with power, and get a knockout or a submission within the chaos. And for Jocelyn Edwards, she needs to use reach and movement, maintain distance, and mix in the grappling. And if you do that, you'll win a decision or get a late finish. Now here are the strengths that each fighter brings specifically to this matchup. For Nora Cornolle, she has a high finish rate, strong striking accuracy, and she's very dangerous in exchanges. And Jocelyn Edwards, she brings positive striking differential, balanced finishing ability, and reach and pace advantages. Now on the flip side, the weaknesses that each fighter brings to the matchup is Nora Cornolle really struggles in longer fights. She's negative striking differential, and she can be outworked, and that means she must land early and often. Jocelyn Edwards, she has a low knockdown rate, her grappling is not dominant, and she's vulnerable in brawls. She must maintain the range. The hidden detail of the stats revealed for this fight is that Edwards' body striking increases significantly the longer the fight goes on, slowing opponents and helping her win the rounds. Why it's missed is most focus on Cornolle's power and ignore Edwards' volume and conditioning, and it appears in Edwards' extended exchanges in late rounds, and it obviously benefits Jocelyn Edwards, improving her decision upside. Now my 100,000 Monte Carlo simulations modeled pace, damage, grappling, fatigue, and camp factors in 3-round bantamweight fight, and it comes out with Nora Cornolle with a 45% chance to win the fight, with 25% by knockout, 10% by submission, and 10% by decision. And Jocelyn Edwards has a 55% chance to win the fight, with 15% by knockout, 10% by decision or submission, and 30% by decision. And Jocelyn Edwards come in with a 55% chance to win the fight, with 15% by knockout, 10% by submission, and 30% chance by decision. And the most common finish window is round 3. In the end, Jocelyn Edwards' volume, reach, and pace give her the edge to outwork Nora Cornolle over 3 rounds. Her ability to control distance and build damage stands out. If the fight flips, it will flip early when Cornolle lands a big shot before Edwards settles into her rhythm. What do you think? Edwards by decision or Cornolle by knockout? Drop your prediction below. I read every one. Smash that like button if this breakdown helped. Subscribe for more fight deep dives and turn on notifications so you don't miss out the full card series. Thank you for watching, and let's see who comes out on top. Does Coria's chaos create another early finish, or does Gurule's power steal this one in the stand-up war? Hey everyone, welcome back to the Prestige. We're going to break down this flyweight matchup, Alden Coria versus Louis Gurule. If you're new to MMA, this is a clash between an aggressive all-around finisher and a power striker who wants to keep this fight standing. Coria thrives in chaos, while Gurule looks to land big shots at mid-range. Let's break this fight down step by step. First, the fight style interaction map. This is how these two styles actually play up against each other. For Alden Coria, his primary style is an all-around finishing game. He pressures, creates chaos, and looks for knockouts or submissions. His secondary style is an aggressive striker. He is constantly pushing the pace. For Louis Gurule, his primary style is power punching. He looks to land heavy shots and capitalize on mistakes, and his secondary style is volume striking. He builds pressure before committing to power. Coria wants chaotic exchanges where scrambles and transitions will lead to a finish, and Gurule wants mid-range striking where he can set up the power. Coria must avoid slow controlled fights, and Gurule must avoid grappling and chaotic scrambles. Their styles will collide in the stand-up exchanges, where Coria's aggression meets Gurule's power, creating early knockout opportunities or transitions into grappling. Now for the win funnel system, this is the clearest path each fighter needs to take to win the fight. For Alden Coria, pressure early and force exchanges. Mix your striking and your takedowns, and get a knockout or submission in the chaos. And for Louis Gurule, use volume to create openings, dictate the pace with pressure, and get a knockout through counters. And here are the strengths that each fighter brings to this matchup. For Alden Coria, he brings a high finish rate across multiple win paths. He has strong offensive wrestling, and he is dangerous throughout transitions. For Louis Gurule, he is a knockout threat with volume. He has strong striking defense and his ability to capitalize on mistakes. And on the flip side, here are the weaknesses that each fighter brings. For Alden Coria, he brings limited UFC experience, lower striking accuracy, and he's unproven as fights go longer. He must create chaos, and it helps that he creates it early. For Louis Gurule, he has finished losses in the UFC, he has negative striking differential, and he struggles against aggressive fighters, so he must keep this fight standing. The hidden detail that the stats revealed for this fight is that Coria's submission success spikes during transitions. As the fights get chaotic, his grappling becomes a major threat. And it's missed because most focus is on Gurule's power and are overlooking Coria's ground game. And it'll appear during scrambles after striking exchanges, when it'll benefit Coria, increasing his submission upside. My 100,000 Monte Carlo simulations model striking output, grappling, finish rates, fatigue, camp factors, and more. And in this 3-round flyweight fight, Alden Coria comes in with a 70% chance to win, with 30% by knockout, 25% by submission, and 15% by decision. And Louis Gurule comes in with a 30% chance to win, with 20% by knockout, 5% by submission, and 5% by decision. The most common finish window for this is round 1 at the 2-minute mark. In the end, Alden Coria's aggressive style and finishing ability give him the edge in this matchup. His grappling and submission upside make him especially dangerous in chaotic fights, and if this fight flips, it flips early. Gurule lands a clean counter and ends it before Coria establishes pressure. Who do you think wins, Coria by submission or Gurule by knockout? Drop your prediction below. I read every one, and smash that like if this breakdown helps at all. Subscribe for more deep dives, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the full card series. Thank you for watching, and let's see who comes out on top. And this is probably my lock of the week with Alden Coria, because I think Louis Gurule should be faded at all costs. Does Ode Osbourne's aggression and experience take over, or does Idris land a power shot and steal this fight? Hey everyone, welcome back to the Prestige. Today we're breaking down this fun flyweight matchup, Ode Osbourne versus Alibi Idris. And if you're new to MMA, this is an aggressive striker versus a power counter striker. Osbourne pushes the pace and the chaos, while Idris looks for clean power and grappling transitions. Let's break this one down step by step. First, the fight style interaction map, how the two styles actually play up against each other. For Ode Osbourne, his primary style is an aggressive striker. He pressures forward, throws volume, and looks to overwhelm his opponents. His secondary style is opportunistic grappler, especially when scrambles open up. For Alibi Idris, his primary style is striking with power and counters, and his secondary style is grappling, mixing in takedowns and submissions when the openings appear. Ode Osbourne wants this a high-pace stand-up exchange where he can build damage, and Idris prefers a balanced fight, mixing striking with grappling. Osbourne must avoid extended ground exchanges against submission threats, and Idris must avoid being outworked at range. And this fight likely stays standing early, where Ode Osbourne's aggression will meet Idris' power, creating knockout opportunities and transitions to grappling. Now on to the win funnel system. This is the clearest path each fighter needs to take to win the fight. For Ode Osbourne, he pressures forward with volume and speed, and mix in grappling when needed to slow down the momentum, and find a knockout or a decision through pace. And for Alibi Idris, get counter strikes and power going, transition into grappling when openings appear, and get a knockout or a submission. Here are the strengths that each fight brings specifically to this matchup. Ode Osbourne has significantly more UFC experience. He has a balanced finishing ability, and he has a reach advantage. And for Alibi Idris, he has a high win rate and a striking accuracy advantage, and he has a strong attack against the body, where Ode Osbourne is shown to be weak, and he has dangerous counters. And on the flip side, here are the weaknesses each fighter brings to the matchup. Ode Osbourne brings submission losses, he has a negative striking differential, and he has recent inconsistencies in his form, so he must control the pace and avoid risky grappling. And for Alibi Idris, he has limited UFC experience, he has low output, his durability is pretty untested, and he must capitalize early on the fight. The hidden detail revealed by the stats is Ode Osbourne's knockout rate spikes when he's pressured aggressively. His early aggression creates openings. Why it's missed is most are focusing on Idris' record and overlooking Osbourne's power in the chaos. And it appears early in rounds and during aggressive pushes. And it benefits Ode Osbourne, boosting his knockout upside. Our 100,000 simulations modeled pace, striking, grappling, finish rates, fatigue, camp factors, and more. In 3-round flyweight fight, Ode Osbourne comes in with a 65% chance to win, with 25% by knockout, 10% by submission, and 30% by decision. And Alibi Idris comes in with 35% chance to win, with 15% by knockout, 10% by submission, and 10% by decision. The most common finish window is round 1. In the end, Ode Osbourne's experience, pace, and aggression will give him the edge to control the fight and win through a knockout or a decision. His ability to overwhelm the less experienced fighters stands out. If this fight flips, it flips early, and Idris lands a clean counter or a submission during chaos. Who do you think wins? Osbourne by knockout, or Idris gets the upset? Drop your prediction below. I read every one, and smash that like if this breakdown helps you at all. Subscribe for more deep dives and turn on notifications so you don't miss the full card series. Thanks for watching, and let's see who comes out on top. Does Njokuani's range and kicking control the fight? Or does Leal crash the pocket and land a knockout? Hey everyone, welcome back to the Prestige. Today we're breaking down this striking-heavy welterweight matchup, Chidi Njokuani versus Carlos Leal. If you are new to MMA, it is a classic distance striker versus power puncher fight. Njokuani wants to control range with kicks, while Leal wants to pressure forward and land big shots. Let's break this down step by step. First comes the fight style interaction map, and that's how the two styles actually play up against each other. For Chidi Njokuani, his primary style is a long-range kickboxer. He uses reach, leg kicks, and straight shots to control distance. His secondary style is power punching, especially when opponents rush in. Carlos Leal, his primary style is a knockout-focused striker. He pressures forward and looks to land heavy power. His secondary style is versatile striking, mixing combinations to break opponents down. Njokuani wants distance kicking exchanges where he can accumulate some damage, and Leal wants mid-range and pocket exchanges where his power becomes more of a factor. Njokuani must avoid grappling or chaotic brawls, and Leal must avoid long-range striking battles. Their styles collide in the mid-range where Njokuani's length meet Leal's power, creating moments where either leg damage or knockout shots can take over the fight. Now on to the win funnel. This is the clearest path each fighter needs to take to win their fight. Chidi Njokuani uses reach and leg kicks to keep distance, build damage, and slow Leal's pressure, and get a knockout through counters or win a decision. For Carlos Leal, pressure forward and cut off the cage, force close range exchanges, and find that early knockout. Now here are the strengths that each fighter brings specifically to this matchup. For Carlos Leal, he brings positive striking differential, versatile combinations, and dangerous finishing ability. And for Chidi Njokuani, he brings a high knockout rate, strong reach and distance control, and solid striking defense. And on the flip side, here are the matchup-specific weaknesses. Chidi Njokuani has a high finish loss rate, he has weak defensive wrestling, and he is recent inconsistent in his form. He must maintain the distance. And for Carlos Leal, he has negative distance metrics, limited UFC experience, and he's vulnerable if he's stuck at range, and he must close the distance early to win this fight. The hidden detail that the stats revealed is Njokuani's leg strike volume spikes pretty early, disrupting pressure fighters and slowing down their movement. This is usually missed because most people are focusing on Leal's knockout power and they're overlooking how damaging Njokuani's leg kicks could be. And it appears in the early rounds and at long range, and it benefits Njokuani, obviously, increasing his control and finishing potential. My 100,000 Monte Carlo simulations modeled striking output, pressure, durability, fatigue, camp factors, and more, and in this three-round welterweight fight at normal elevation. Chidi Njokuani comes in with a 60% win rate, with 30% by knockout, 5% by submission, and 25% by decision. And Carlos Leal comes in with a 40% chance to win, with 25% chance by knockout, 5% by submission, and 10% by decision. The most common finish window, again, is round 2. In the end, Chidi Njokuani's range, kicking, and damage accumulation give him the edge to control this fight and either win a decision or land a knockout. His ability to slow pressure with leg kicks is a key factor, and if this fight flips, it does flip early and Leal forces exchanges and lands power before Njokuani settles. Who do you think wins, Njokuani by knockout or Leal with the upset? Drop your prediction below. I read every one. Smash this like button if the breakdown helped you, subscribe for more deep dives, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the full card series. Thank you for watching, and let's see who comes out on top. Does Reese's chaos overwhelm Pereira, or does Pereira's creativity and athleticism create another highlight finish? Hello, welcome back to the Prestige. Today we're breaking down a wild middleweight matchup, Reese versus Michel Pereira. If you are new to MMA, this is a clash between a dangerous all-around finisher and one of the most unpredictable strikers in the sport. Reese thrives in chaos while Pereira uses speed, movement, and creativity to find openings. Let's break this fight down step by step. First, the fight style interaction map, how these two styles actually play up against each other. Reese's primary style is an all-around finisher. He mixes striking and grappling, looking for openings and chaotic exchanges. His secondary style is switch striking. He uses stance changes to create confusion and power. Michel Pereira's primary style is flashy striking. He uses movement, athleticism, and unorthodox attacks to keep opponents guessing. His secondary style is opportunistic submission artist, especially during scrambles. Reese wants this fight in chaotic exchanges where transitions will open up finishing opportunities for him. and Pereira wants this in dynamic range striking using movement and creativity. Reese wants to avoid clean, controlled grappling battles, and Pereira wants to avoid slow, a grinding fight where the cardio and structure matter. And the styles will collide and likely explode in striking furies. Reese's switch power meets Pereira's unpredictable attacks, creating scramble-heavy moments where both fighters can get finishes. Now onto the win funnel, the clear path each fighter needs to take to win their fight. For Zach Reese, switch stances and create confusion. Mix striking and takedowns. And get a knockout or a submission in all the chaos. For Michel Pereira, use your athleticism and unorthodox striking. Maintain distance and movement. And get a submission or a flashy knockout. Now here are the strengths that each fighter brings specifically to this matchup. For Zach Reese, he has a high finish rate across multiple paths. He has a positive striking differential, and he's dangerous in transitions. And for Michel Pereira, he has balanced finishing ability, strong close range effectiveness, and explosive and unpredictable. Now on the flip side, here are the weaknesses that each one brings. For Zach Reese, all of his losses are by finish. He has weak takedown defense, and he has a limited experience at the top level. So the implication is he must create chaos and early. For Michel Pereira, he can be outworked at distance, he has knockout losses, and he absorbs volume and exchanges. He must stay unpredictable but efficient. In the hidden detail that was revealed with the stats of this fight, as Pereira's submission success spikes during scrambles. As fights become chaotic, he does find openings on the ground, and it's missed because most focus on Reese's finishing ability and ignore Pereira's opportunistic grappling. And it appears in scrambles, often after striking exchanges, and it benefits Pereira, increasing his submission upside. Our 100,000 Monte Carlo simulations modeled striking output, grappling, finish rates, fatigue, and camp factors in a 3-round middleweight fight at normal elevation, and Zach Reese comes in with a 42% chance to win, 22% chance by knockout, 8% by submission, and 12% chance by decision. And Michel Pereira is a 58% chance to win, 18% by knockout, 25% by submission, and 15% by decision. The most common finish window is round 2. And in the end, Michel Pereira's athleticism, unpredictability, and submission upside give him the edge in this chaotic fight. His ability to capitalize on scrambles and mistakes make him the favorite of the fight. If Zach Reese wins, it likely happens early through pressure and aggressive finishing, but the model favors Pereira's versatility as the fight unfolds. If this fight flips, it flips fast because Reese overwhelms Pereira before he can find his rhythm. What do you think? Does Pereira catch a submission, or does Reese get the upset? Drop your prediction below. I read every one of them. Smash the like if this breakdown helped you at all. Subscribe for more fight deep dives, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the card series. Thank you for watching, and let's see who comes out on top. Does Sergey Spivac's wrestling shut down Delija's power, or does Delija land before grappling takes over? Welcome back to the Prestige. Today we're breaking down the heavyweight matchup, Sergey Spivac versus Ante Delija. If you're new to MMA, this is a classic grappler versus power striker fight. Spivac wants to wrestle and dominate the ground, while Delija wants to keep the standing and end it early. Let's break it down section by section. First up is the fight style interaction map, how these two styles actually play up against each other. Sergey Spivac's primary style is wrestling. He closes distance, secures takedowns, and controls opponents on the mat. His secondary style is ground and pound and submissions from dominant positions. Ante Delija's primary style is slugging power. He looks to forward pressure and land heavy shots. His secondary style is opportunistic grappling, but mainly as a defensive tool. Sergey Spivac wants this in clinch exchanges and takedowns, leading to long control. And Delija wants mid-range striking, where this power can become dangerous. Spivac wants to avoid extending striking battles, and Delija wants to avoid prolonged ground control. And these fighter styles will collide in clinch transitions, where Spivac's takedown entries will meet Delija's knockout power, creating moments where a quick KO or dominant grappling control can emerge. Now on to the win funnel, the clearest path each fighter needs to take to win. For Sergey Spivac, he needs to close distance with level changes and clinch pressure, secure top position and maintain control, get a submission or ground and pound knockout. For Ante Delija, his win funnel is to pressure with heavy punches, keep the fight standing at striking range, and get an early knockout. Now here's the strengths that each fighter brings particularly to this matchup. For Sergey Spivac, he has elite takedown rate and top control. He is a very strong submission threat, and he has high grappling volume. For Ante Delija, he's a dangerous knockout power, positive striking differential, and he's got a heavy pressure style. Now on the flip side, here's the weaknesses that each fighter brings to the matchup. Sergey Spivac, he has a negative striking differential. His losses are mostly by knockout, and he can be known to absorb damage standing. The implication is he must get this fight to the ground as soon as possible. For Ante Delija, he is weak defensive grappling, he has a high finish loss rate, and he has limited wrestling success, which means he must defend the takedowns early. The hidden detail that the stats revealed for this is Sergey Spivac's control time rises sharply against power strikers. Once he gets the fight down, opponents struggle to escape. And it's missed because most of the focus stay on Delija's knockout ability and ignore Spivac's ability to chain takedowns together. And it appears early in exchanges, and especially in round 2, and it benefits Sergey Spivac, increasing his submission upside. Our 100,000 Monte Carlo simulations modeled striking output, takedowns, control time, finish rates, fatigue, camp factors, and more. In this 3-round heavyweight fight in normal elevation, Sergey Spivac has a 70% chance to win, with a 15% chance by knockout, 35% chance by submission, 20% chance by decision, and Ante Delija comes in with a 30% chance to win, with 22% chance by knockout, 3% by submission, and 5% by decision. The most common finish window is round 2. In the end, Sergey Spivac's wrestling and control give him the clearest path to dominate this fight. His ability to chain takedowns and control heavyweights makes him the favorite. If Delija wins, it likely comes early with a knockout before Spivac establishes control, but the model still favors Spivac's grappling over time. If this fight flips, it flips early. Delija lands a big shot before the grappling takes over. Who do you think wins? Spivac by submission or Delija by knockout? Drop your prediction below. I read every one of them. Smash the like if this breakdown helped. Subscribe for more fight deep dives and turn on notifications so you don't miss the full UFC card series. Thank you for watching, and let's see who comes out on top. Can Dan Ige's power shut down Costa's counters? Or does Meliquizia Costa turn this into a grappling finish? Hey everyone, welcome back to The Prestige, and today we're breaking down this fun featherweight matchup in this fight night. If you're new to MMA, this is power striker versus counter striker with submission threats. Ige wants to pressure and land big shots, while Costa looks to counter, close distance, and finish on the ground. Let's break it down step by step. First is the fight style interaction map. This is how each style comes up to play against each other. Dan Ige's primary style is a power striker. He pressures forward, mixes volume and heavy shots, and looks to create knockout moments. His secondary style is opportunistic grappler, using wrestling when openings appear. For Meliquizia Costa's primary style is counter-striking. He reads opponents, looks for mistakes, and fires back with accuracy. His secondary style is submission grappling, especially during scrambles and transitions. Dan Ige wants this in the distance striking range, where he can pressure and land power, and Costa prefers transitions into clinch and ground phases, where submissions become a threat also. And Dan Ige wants to avoid ground exchanges, where Costa must avoid high-volume striking battles, where Dan Ige builds momentum. How and when the styles will collide is in distance, where Dan Ige's footwork and forward pressure will meet Costa's counter-striking, meeting moments where either big knockouts or takedowns entries open up. Now on to the win funnel. This is the clearest path each fighter needs to take to win their fight. For Dan Ige, pressure forward and steady output to set up your power shots, dictate the pace and the range, and get a knockout or a late decision through damage. And for Costa, use counter strikes and force reactions, use openings to clinch and get to the ground, and get a submission or ground and pound knockout. Now on to the strengths that each fighter brings to this matchup. For Dan Ige, he has strong knockout threat, and he's got good durability. He also has solid defensive striking, and he has experience against high-level competition. For Melikizel Costa, he has positive striking differential and accuracy. He has strong takedown and submission threat, and he's also dangerous in transitions and scrambles. Now on the flip side, the weaknesses that each fighter brings, Dan Ige brings a lower takedown success. He can be controlled on the ground, and his recent form is pretty inconsistent, so he must keep the fight standing. For Melikizo Costa, he has a high finish loss rate. Defensive striking is still developing, and he has less UFC experience, but he must survive early pressure. Now, the hidden detail that the stats revealed is Costa's submission rate jumps during scrambles and mid-round transitions. As fights get chaotic, his grappling becomes more dangerous. Why it's missed is people focus on Ige's knockout power and ignore Costa's chaining submissions. And it appears in mid-round scrambles, especially in round 2, and it benefits Costa, increasing his finishing upside for this fight. Our simulations model strike volume, takedown success, control time, finish rates, fatigue, camp factors, and much more. And in this 3-round featherweight fight in normal elevation, Dan Ige comes out with a 35% chance to win, 18% by knockout, 3% by submission, and 14% by decision. And for Melikizel Costa, he has a 65% chance to win, with 22% chance by knockout, 25% chance by submission, and 18% chance by decision. The most common finish window is in round 2. In the end, Costa's counter-striking and grappling chains give him the clearest path to win. His ability to capitalize on mistakes and transition into submissions creates strong upside. If Dan Ige wins, it likely comes through early pressure and power before Costa settles in. But the model favors Costa's finish potential as the fight develops. If this fight flips, it flips early, and Dan Ige lands a big shot before Costa can establish his grappling. What do you think? Dan Ige by knockout, Costa by submission? Drop your predictions below. I read every one. Smash the like if this breakdown helped you at all. Subscribe for more fight deep dives, and turn on notifications if you want to see the full card series. Thank you for watching, and let's see who comes out on top. Does Jeff Neal's power and experience win the battle, or does Uros Medic's blitz speed end this early? Hey everyone, welcome back to the Prestige. Today we're breaking down UFC Fight Night welterweight matchup, Jeff Neal versus Uros Medic. If you're new to MMA, this is a pure striker versus pure striker matchup. Both fighters are dangerous knockout artists, but they approach this very differently. Neal relies on pressure and timing, while Medic looks for explosive blitzes and early finishes. Let's break this down step by step. First, the fight style interaction map, how these two styles play up against each other. For Jeff Neal, his primary style is a knockout artist. He uses sharp boxing, timing, and power to finish fights. His secondary style is pressure fighting. He walks opponents down and forces exchanges. For Uros Medic, his primary style is a knockout focus. He's an aggressive striker who looks for early damage. His secondary style is volume aggression. He uses fast bursts to overwhelm his opponents. The preferred phases they want this fight is Neal wants this distance power exchanges where he can use reach and timing, and Medic prefers mid-range blitzes where he can overwhelm with speed and power. And Neal doesn't want chaotic grappling or wild scrambles, and Medic wants to avoid long, drawn-out fights where durability and pacing become factors. And these styles will collide in the pocket. Neal's reach and patience meet Medic's blitzing power, creating dangerous early knockout opportunities for both fighters. Now the win funnels, the clearest path each fighter needs to win the fight. For Jeff Neal, use reach and jabs to set up power, pressure forward into the mid-range, and then knock him out with hooks or get a late technical knockout. For Uros Medic, aggressive forward movement, overwhelm with speed and power, and get an early knockout. Now on to the strengths that each fighter brings specifically to this matchup. For Jeff Neal, he brings a high knockout rate and strong reach advantage. He has elite takedown defense that keeps the fight standing, and he's durable against high-level competition. Uros Medic He has perfect finish rate in his wins, his high accuracy, and his positive striking differential, and he has a dangerous blitzing style. And on the flip side, the weaknesses each fighter has, Geoff Neal can be outworked in exchanges. His recent losses raise durability questions, and he does allow pressure to build up against him. So he should control range and the timing of this fight. And for Uros Medic, all of his losses are by finish. He has less experience at the level that they're fighting at, and the defensive grappling is very limited. So he likely needs an early finish if he's going to win this. The hidden detail that the hidden detail that the stats revealed is Medic's knockdown rate spikes early when opponents pressure forward. His speed and timing create sudden openings, and it's missed because most people focus on Neal's experience and power, overlooking Medic's explosive blitz. It appears early in rounds, and especially in round 1, and it benefits Uros Medic, giving him strong early upside. Our 10,000 simulations modeled striking output, finish rates, durability, fatigue, and camp factors. 3-round welterweight fight at normal elevation. Geoff Neal comes in with a 62% chance to win, with 28% by knockout, 4% by submission, and 30% by decision. And Uros Medic comes in with a 38% chance to win the fight, with 25% by knockout, 3% chance by submission, and 10% chance by decision. The most common finish window is round 1. In the end, Geoff Neal's reach, power, and experience give him the edge to control exchanges and win this fight, either by knockout or decision. His durability and patience allow him to weather early danger and take over. If this fight flips, it flips early, and Medic lands a fast blitz and catches Neal before he settles into rhythm. What do you think? Neal by knockout or Medic with the upset? Drop your prediction below. I read every one of them. And smash that like if this breakdown helped. Subscribe for more deep dives and turn on notifications so you don't miss the full card series. Thanks for watching, and let's see who comes out on top. Can Sean Strickland's relentless volume shut down Hernandez's grappling, or does Hernandez drag this fight into deep waters and take over? Hey everyone, welcome back to the Prestige. Today we're going to break down the UFC Fight Night middleweight main event, Sean Strickland versus Anthony Hernandez. If you're new to MMA, this is a striker versus grappler matchup. Strickland wins with pressure and volume, while Hernandez wants clinch control, takedowns, and submissions. We'll keep it simple for newer fans while still diving into the stats, win conditions, and hidden details that matter. Let's break it down section by section. First, the fight style interaction map. How these two styles actually play up against each other. Sean Strickland's primary style is a volume striker. He uses a steady jab, high output, and pressure to win rounds. His secondary style is pressure boxing, consistently walking opponents down and forcing mistakes. Anthony Hernandez's primary style is grappling. He wants to close distance, chain takedowns, and control fights on the mat. And his secondary style is ground and pound, using damage and submissions from top position. Strickland likes distance striking where he can control pace and slowly outwork his opponents, and Hernandez wants clinch exchanges and ground control where his grappling becomes dominant. Strickland doesn't like prolonged ground exchanges. Hernandez must avoid extended striking battles where Strickland's volume builds over time. And where the styles will collide is in the distance to clinch transitions, where Strickland's jab and pressure meet Hernandez's takedown attempts, leading to scrambles and key control moments. Now onto the win funnels, the clearest path each fighter needs to follow to win. For Sean Strickland, establish range early with the jab and constant pressure, maintain distance and deny clinching attempts, and win a decision through accumulated damage or a late knockout. And Anthony Hernandez's win funnel is close distance with feints and level changes, chain takedowns and a long ground control, and then get a submission or a ground and pound knockout. And now for the strengths that each brings specifically to this matchup. Sean Strickland brings elite volume and pace, strong distance control and fight IQ, and solid takedown defense. And Anthony Hernandez brings high takedown rate and a submission threat, dangerous ground control and top pressure, and efficient grappling and scrambles. And on the flip side, the weaknesses that each brings to the fight is for Sean Strickland, he's weak to grappling, and he has a low knockout rate, long layoff might affect his timing, and he can be worn down by chain wrestlers, so he must keep this fight standing. And for Anthony Hernandez, he is a striking defense risk, lower striking accuracy and defense. He absorbs significant damage, and he's limited experience against elite volume strikers like Sean Strickland. So he needs early grappling success to get this win. The key hidden detail is Hernandez's grappling efficiency jumps late in fights. As opponents tire, his control and submission attempts increase sharply. Why it's missed is most analysis focus on Strickland's output and ignore how Hernandez wins through control time. When it appears, it's rounds 2 and 3, and even more in the championship rounds. And it obviously benefits Hernandez, especially in longer fights. 10,000 simulations, models, striking output, takedown success, control time, finish rates, fatigue, camp factors, and much more. And in a 5-round middleweight fight at normal elevation, Sean Strickland has a 32% chance to win, with 9% by knockout, 2% by submission, and 21% chance by decision. And Anthony Hernandez came in with a 68% chance to win, with 21% by knockout, 27% by submission, 20% by decision, and the most common window is round 3. In the end, Anthony Hernandez's grappling pressure and takedown chains give him a strong path to control this fight. His ability to wear down volume strikers and create submission opportunities make him the favorite. If Sean Strickland wins, it likely comes through sustained pressure, distance control, and late decision or attritional knockout. But the model shows Hernandez is grappling, breaking through more often than it doesn't. If this fight flips, it flips early, and Sean Strickland stuffs takedowns and forces Hernandez into high-volume striking battle. What do you think? Strickland by decision or Hernandez by finish? Drop your prediction below. I read every one of them. Smash this like if the breakdown helped. Subscribe for more deep dives and turn on notifications so you don't miss the full card series. Thank you for watching, and let's see who comes out on top.